Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and as always, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So, a little bit of a special video for me, this one. My friend Darren over in the UK, Darren's been sort of following my RC journey, I think pretty much from the beginning. Absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely gentleman. He actually, I want to say probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, he sent me a car. It was the, oh God, you know what? I can't even remember what its original version was. It was the DF01, you know, a top force chassis, but it was a bathtub like the Manta Ray, but it was the one with the big tyres on it. And I've completely forgotten what it's called. Anyway, we did lots with those over years, and I think that one kind of ended up becoming the Chrome Terra Conqueror. Anyway, I should have looked all that up, but it was that long ago. So yeah, Darren has sent me a car before. Anyway, he contacts me via email and says, "Look, it was a little story, but I'll go into that in a bit." But he says, I want to send you something, just as an appreciation for what you do," which is just off the chart. He said, "Obviously, I won't tell you what it is, but let me know when it arrives." So anyway, it arrives, and obviously it was a bigger box. I was like, oh, it must be a kit, which I wasn't expecting at all. So when I opened it up, we had this bad boy in there, which is a 2010 Tamiya holiday buggy on the DT02 chassis. I absolutely had no idea this was coming. So I was over the moon. So as he said, when it arrives, message me and I'll send you a few words. So I messaged him, thanked him, and obviously he sent me this, and I want to read this to you because this is another special message, in my humble opinion. So we'll do that, and then in the video I want to talk about the holiday buggy being on the DT02 chassis, and basically the DT02 chassis in general, because when I did some research when I got this, it kind of blew me away. But anyway, we'll get into that. So what I want to do now, and forgive me, I want to read this message from Darren. I'll try to take my time, because when I watch videos back when I read stuff out, I kind of read too fast. Right. Hi Glenn, you are very welcome. As I said, when my mum passed away, she left me and my sister a gift, so it was just nice to be able to do this for you. For me, no matter what life throws at us, we have our memories, and that's what this little hobby gives us. I know the kit would probably not have been on your radar, and of course it's not a real holiday buggy. But for me it takes me back. Mum was a hairdresser and Dad played football at the weekend, so Saturday was spent with my beloved Nan. Nan lived alone, so we would go to the shops with her to get supplies for the week ahead. One of the routes was past a model shop, and it had planes displayed in the window. It was the planes that caught my eye. I would always stop and stare for a moment. On one of the days, Nan said, "Come on, let's go in and have a look." As I stepped in it, it was like going into another world. I so get that. I will never forget the smell. I know it was the fuel for the RC planes. Love that smell. I didn't know where to put my eyes. I remember the guys at the counter chatting to the customers. I had no idea what I was hearing, but they all seemed happy. I remember then looking up at the high-level shelf, and that's where the cars were. I'm sure it was the box art that really drew me in. The gentleman behind the counter spoke to us and explained that there were RC kits that required building before you could run it. I was totally hooked. After the first visit, I would always go in and look at every time we passed by. That was back in 1981. Blimey, that makes you feel old. Yeah, it does, my friend. Anyway, cut a long story short, Christmas arrived. Nan would always be with us on Christmas morning, much to my mum's dismay. You know, the bloody mother-in-law and all that. Anyway, Nan gave us our parcels, and the first I opened was the smallest of the two. Acom's 2-channel radio is what I found. That's awesome. The second bigger box was the Tamiya holiday buggy. I was stunned because, come from a working class family, money was not a premium for things like that. Yep. Nan worked so hard, so she had 3 cleaning jobs, so I was just blown away. I grabbed a few basic tools, and that was me for the next week. I managed to get it built and ran the thing non-stop. I say non-stop, but it took a night to change a humpback NiCad. It really captured my imagination. I was keen to move on to the next one and saved all my paper round money for the next. Sorry, I lost that. I was keen to move on to the next one and saved all my paper round money for the next God knows how long, and it was the released. Sorry, oh my God, I butchered this. I do apologise. I was keen to move on to the next one and saved all my paper round money for the next God only knows how long. And when it was released, I got the Mad Ave Apache. To be fair, it was the Apache I ran for the longest time, but it'll always be my holiday buggy. That is my very special memory. Anyway, enjoy, Glenn, whatever you do with it. Cheers for now, Darren. That's lovely, Darren. Thank you for, first of all, obviously, thank you for the kit. I mean, it's just amazing, but more so, thank you for taking the time just to write that down, because Darren's very similar. There's a few of us, there's quite a lot of us actually, who all have kind of the same memories and nostalgia about the sort of golden era of RC, and Darren's just like that. So I really enjoy talking to people like me with the same interests who were sort of around at the same era. Anyway, just off the chart. So, as Darren said, yeah, this was never on my radar. Now, I have to say, I've got to be honest. I remember, this is a 2010. This is the first time Tamiya brought the holiday buggy out again on the DT02 chassis. And I remember it coming out, and I've got to be honest, I remember being very disappointed because, I don't know, what was it, 2010, so what's that, 14 years ago. I thought, at that time, I thought differently about the re-race. And I think I was a little bit more of a purist back then. So it was almost with a kind of, and I kind of regret saying this now, but looking back, I kind of regret like turning my nose up at this, going, well, that's just not holiday buggy, and it's just lazy by Tamiya. But bringing that forward to now, I fully understand it now, because I do harp on and say Tamiya will eventually re everything. And obviously, I don't know if they will, if they won't, but the original holiday buggy and Sand Rover was a very flawed car. If you don't know it, I'll put some pictures up in a bit, but the actual gearbox was open to the elements completely. The suspension was shocking. It was a terrible car. But so let's just talk about the originals first. So the original holiday buggy came out in 1980. I'll put up a picture up. A massive shout out to Tamiya Base for these pictures as well, and the information that's coming after that. Tamiya Base, my number one go-to website for Tamiya information. It's just the best out there. And then in 1981, the year after, came a Sand Rover. Again, I'll put pictures up. Now, for me, out of the two, I've never had a Sand Rover that I can remember. I'm like 99% positive I've never had a Sand Rover. That is actually my favourite of the two. I've had a couple of holiday buggies over the years, and I would love, if I could have one of them, an original I'm talking about, it would be the Sand Rover. The beach buggy look, I just love that. And there's nothing wrong with the holiday buggy, the original, but I just slightly prefer the Sand Rover. So hopefully one day I'll add that to the collection. Anyway, so this turns up, and I'm sort of having a look at it, and I was like, so the year 2010, I didn't realise it was that long ago. So again, on Tamiya Base, I just jumped on just to see. So I typed in what I always type in. I go into Google and I'll type Tamiya, whatever the car is, release date. And generally when I do that, Tamiya Base is the first search that comes up. And then if you've not been on that website, you can, all models with that chassis, all variants. It's put so much work into it. So I got this long list of DT02 variants. I've got to be honest, it blew me away. The DT02 chassis must be the most used chassis by Tamiya. I was kind of thinking Grasshopper, Hornet, but with the different variants. But the DT02 blows it out of the water. I was shocked. I'm not going to put them all up. I'm just going to put the key ones up. So the first ever DT02 came out in 2005 and was the Super Fighter G. That was a hard body, great looking car that. So DT02 2005. In the same year came a Desert Gator, and a year after that came the Sand Viper. Now they're the two, when I think DT02, they're the two that I think of straight away. That's the two sort of standard ones, Sand Viper and Desert Gator. Sand Viper's awesome, but my favourite is those two is a Desert Gator because of the shell and wing. I just think it looks really. It's kind of Dynastorm looking in its lines, which I really like. And then I say 2010, the Holiday Buggy. Now they did a second run of the Holiday Buggy. I think it was in 2013. I want to say. But I was just having a look at the part numbers, and this is actually, it does say 2010 somewhere on it, but there's a part number somewhere, 58470. So I just looked on Tamiya Base, and that is the correct code for the 2010 one. The 2013 rerun had a different part number, so it's kind of cool that it says this was actually from 2010. I would have thought these were all gone and it'd be on to the last batch of them. And then the year after, in 2011, they did exactly the same as this, and they did the Sand Rover, which makes total sense, doesn't it? And then the final one, they stopped making the DT02 in 2015. So that chassis ran for 10 years. I had no idea. And the last one they did it's called Buggy. I'll butcher this next bit. Buggy Mamon, and it was a yellow variant of it. Now, I've given you the very first one, 2005, to the last one in 2015. But if you've got a Tamiya Base, those I mentioned are hardly any of them. There's so many more. There's Ready to Runs, XBs, and just so many different variants, different colours and stuff. And different cars. I was absolutely blown away when I actually saw the list in front of me. I had no idea. It must be the biggest chassis platform for different cars that Tamiya have ever done, and I didn't know that, and as you know, I love learning information like that. So yes, very cool indeed. So now I understand why Tamiya did this, and again, it's just because the originals were so flawed. And now looking back, and me in 2010 when this come out wouldn't have understood this, I don't think, but looking back now and how I feel about the hobby now, I kind of totally get Tamiya not bringing that out. I hope I'm wrong, and one day we do see it, meaning Holiday Buggy and Sand Rover, but I just don't think we are going to see it, if I'm honest. But, fingers crossed. So, yeah, so this is what we've got. We've got Holiday. Now, Darren said it at the end of his message, up to you what you do with it. And I must admit, when I got it, before I was waiting for Darren's message to come through, I jumped on, I was looking at some like custom versions that people have done. And then Darren's message come through, and so I can't go away from the box art because of Darren's message. The car meant something to him in his heart, and I want to make that special as well when I build this. So I did find this picture on Tamiya Club. It was actually just on Google, but it was linked to Tamiya Club. And I've not delved any deeper, but I just love that picture because he's got the Grasshopper wheels and tyres set on it. And there's a lot more detail on that car than comes with. Now, that is a re-re, that's not the original. But I am going to dig deeper into that build on that website and just see what he's done to get it looking like that, because the body looks a lot lower than it does on here, but I'm sure if I check it out. But those wheels and tyres, they just look awesome. So because I've seen that picture and because of Darren's message, when I eventually do come to get this finished, I'm going to get it as close to looking to the original as I can, which I think is going to be a lot of fun doing. And I might do a little bit of customizing on the body as well, like that picture, mirrors, window wipers, windscreen. But that the original didn't have a windscreen either. But yeah, that's kind of mentally what I'm thinking at the moment, although it'll be a while before I even look at this project. Right, what we'll do now is I want to have a look at the body and the decals. I won't drag all the chassis bits out because we know what a DT02 looks like, but I'm intrigued about what the body looks like and how many pieces, and the driver as well, because that'll probably take some painting. Anyway, let's drag the camera over and we'll have a look. Right, before we look in that box, completely forgot about this. Now, this is the Tamiya DT02 MS edition, and that wasn't in Tamiya Base's list of all variants, which I don't know, that's kind of odd. So I completely forgot about it. So this was 2007, and this was Tamiya's supposedly all singing, all dancing DT02. Lovely shocks, aluminium limited slip ball diff, UJs, fully bearing, and then obviously this MS style body, which was absolutely awesome. So yeah, completely forgot about that one. So, first look at the box art, which is awesome. I'm intrigued if the body is the same as the original. Now, obviously, it's got cutouts here for the top of the shock mounts. But yeah, I was just curious. Obviously, it's got 2010, and this is another pre-painted figure included. Okay, didn't know that. Now, it says here, this body is made from shock-resistant PE plastic material and cannot be painted or cemented. Wow, okay. That's a new one to me. Cannot be painted. Oh, that's interesting. Leave in the comments if you know what that's all about. That's very odd. Just put a picture up of the actual chassis itself. Oh, it's got a bit of glare. But that's what the basic DT02 chassis looks like. Such a good platform. It really is. And that's the part number I was telling you about, which denotes that it is obviously the 2010 model. And then just bump about electrics and driving. It's such a dinky box. The lid doesn't want to come off. Okay. Oh, I can see the drivers. Alright, so I don't want to get all this out because it's pointless, but I do want to have a good look at this body. Right, let me just take it out of the bag. Oh, look at that. Okay, that is super cool. So his face and his cowboy hat painted already. That's awesome. And there's all this plastic, the jerry cans, there's two pairs of spotlights, a roof, centre section, so all that's got to be painted. Wheels are already mounted onto the tyres. That's interesting. Again, sorry for any noise. Wowza. Let's just clear some space. Look at that. That's awesome. So yeah, it's interesting that you can't paint it. I guess paint possibly might not stick to it, I don't know. And it's the cutouts for the top of the shocks. I mean, I have to paint it because that louver section has to be a different colour. Yeah, see, there's lots we're going to have to figure out with this. It's so light. I'm really surprised at how light that is. That's very cool, but yeah, how cool is that? That saves the job. Such a cool driver figure for this car. Let's move that out of the way. I don't think there's much else I want to see, to be honest. Be friction shocks, obviously. These are your parts to be painted. So that's your second one underneath. That's your driver's platform. That's the roof. Yeah, it's definitely a lot to be painted. Lovely DT02 chassis. Anyway, I guess you get the gist of. Yeah, it's very rare if Tamiya put the tyres on the wheels for you. I was just thinking, sort of, as I was looking at this, the sort of bare minimum you would do for this is not have the yellow wheels. You'd paint the wheels silver or like the grey, like the original, because that would make it look a lot more like the original straight off the bat. I wonder why Tamiya did that. They recreated the holiday buggy on a much more modern day chassis, but they went to all the extent of the correct body, or as close as they can get to the correct body, and decals and what have you, but then stuck yellow wheels on it. That's a bit odd, isn't it? Anyway, yes, this is going to be a cool build. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Another one that goes into the to-do list at some point. But as I said, before I start that, I really want to think about what I'm doing with it. As a must right now, and those wheels and tyres, I have actually got a spare set of those. I need to look at that the window wipers, those mirrors, and most of the windscreen as well. Just those little things just really make it. But yeah, I want to get all that. I want to become familiar in my head on what needs doing. If there's any modifications I have to make to the body itself or the chassis. So it's going to be a cool project, actually. Very cool. So yes, Darren, just a massive heartfelt thank you, my friend. Really did not expect a kit from you, and that beautiful message. Yeah, I love stuff like that, as you know. And to everyone watching, just a massive thank you. And yeah, thank you for watching. And as always, you know what I'm going to say. Happy I seeing.